What did a man see at 200 meters high, hanging by a wire, that made him rethink his entire life? A miracle of the Virgin Mary that happened where no one else could witness it. And it all began with a piece of equipment that failed at the worst possible moment. But before we continue, leave a comment saying where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. I would love to see how far the miracles of the Virgin Mary are reaching. Do you know that kind of person who prefers to work alone? Who wakes up early, does their job, goes back home, and doesn't need anyone? Thomas Bennett was that type. Everyone called him Tom, 44 years old. A window cleaner in Seattle for 17 years. He woke up every day at 4 in the morning, coffee alone in the kitchen, silent apartment. He grabbed his equipment and went to work. Heights never bothered Tom. In fact, it was the opposite. Up there, 200 meters above the city, was where he could breathe, or where he didn't have to think about anything. You know that kind of job you've done for so long that it becomes automatic? Fasten the safety belt, check the carabiners, engage the winch, descend. There was no mystery. Tom liked it that way. Simple. His personal life? It wasn't that simple. Marriage over for 2 years. A 16-year-old son who lived with his mother on the other side of the city, Ryan. The boy barely replied to messages. When he did, it was always the same thing. Okay. We'll talk later. But later never came. Tom tried at first. He called, sent messages, asked if he could pick him up from school. But after hearing no need about 50 times, you get tired. You stop trying. Or at least that's what you tell yourself. But it was fine. The higher he went during the day, the less he needed to think about it. Have you ever done that? Worked so much that there's no room left to think about anything else? Tom had become an expert at that. November 2023. Seattle was gray as always, that damp cold that seeps into your bones and never leaves. Tom was working on a commercial building downtown. 35 stories. Ordinary day. Windows dirty from rain. Pigeons making a mess. Routine. He was descending slowly down the facade, cleaning one window at a time. Mechanical movements. It was on the 15th floor that he saw it. An empty office. Lights off. But there was a desk. And on the shelf behind the desk, very small, a statue. The Virgin Mary. White dress, blue mantle, hands clasped together. Tom stopped for a second, just staring through the glass. It wasn't that he had anything against it. It wasn't anger. It wasn't contempt. It was more emptiness. Like when you look at something that means nothing to you. Someone still believes in these things, he thought. He kept working, but that image stayed with him all day. He didn't know why. It just stayed. That night, lying in bed, he caught himself thinking, how long has it been since I last set foot in a church? He couldn't remember. He dismissed the thought, turned to the other side, fell asleep. The routine went on. Waking up early, working, going back home. Ryan's messages grew more and more spaced out. The last one had been almost a month ago. Tom would look at his phone sometimes. Thought about sending a message. Hi, how are you? He typed it, deleted it. I miss you. He typed it, deleted it. What do you say to someone when you no longer know what to say? So, you say nothing. And the silence keeps getting bigger. Until one day, you don't even feel it anymore. Or you convince yourself of that. It was in the 3rd week that Tom's ex-wife sent a message, short, direct. Ryan doesn't want to spend Christmas with you this year. Tom read it, read it again, didn't reply. Put the phone aside, went to work. He went higher than usual that day, as if altitude made a difference. As if up there he could escape those words. But the words went up with him. December 6th. Tom woke up like always. 4 in the morning, coffee, equipment. Sky still dark. The forecast was sun all day, no wind. Good day to work. He got to the building at 7. 42 floors. Glass on the north facade. All-day job. He started at the top, like always. Seattle waking up down below, cars starting to move. Tom worked on autopilot. But his mind was somewhere else. Ryan doesn't want to spend Christmas with you. The words echoed. 2 in the afternoon. Floor 28. His back hurt a little. Normal after hours. His hands tired. Tom stopped to drink water. Looked down. Tiny cars. People like ants. He looked at his phone. No message. Whatever, he thought. But it wasn't whatever. He knew that. That's when he saw the clouds coming. Dark gray. Too fast. He grabbed the radio. "Steve, you seeing these clouds?" The supervisor's voice came back. "I see them. Forecast changed. Finish up. It's going to get windy." "Just half an hour more." "Okay, but come up if the wind gets strong." "Understood." Tom kept going. Floor 26, 25. The wind started. Light at first, then stronger. The platform swayed. Tom stopped, grabbed the rope, looked up. The sky had completely closed in. Damn. He grabbed the radio. "Steve, I'm going up. Go up now." Tom put away the equipment, secured everything, went to the hoist control panel, pressed the button. The motor made a strange noise. A click, another click, nothing. It didn't go up. No. He tried again. Click, click. Silence. The panel was lit. There was power. But the motor didn't respond. No, no, no. Radio. "Steve, the hoist is jammed." Silence on the other side. Then, "You kidding me?" "I wish." "What floor are you on?" 25. "Okay, don't panic. Rescue team is already on the way up. Half an hour max." "Understood." Tom turned off the radio. Took a deep breath. Half an hour. He could wait half an hour. The wind picked up. The platform began to sway. Gently at first. Then more. Tom grabbed onto the side ropes. The main cable creaked. It was a low sound, almost imperceptible. But Tom heard it. You work 17 years with this kind of equipment. You know every sound. And that sound, it wasn't normal. He looked up. The cable was tight. Too tight. "It's fine," he told himself. "These cables can handle 10 times my weight." But the sound continued. The wind picked up again. Tom held on tighter. He looked down. 200 meters of concrete. He looked up. The cable creaking. "Steve," he called on the radio, his voice tighter now. "How long until the crew gets here?" 20 minutes. Hang in there." The cable's making a strange noise. What kind of noise? Creaking at the anchoring point. "Tom, these cables are tested to—" "I know what these cables can handle, Steve, but I'm telling you, it's making a sound it shouldn't. The crew is moving as fast as possible." Tom turned off the radio. 20 minutes. He had to wait 20 minutes. The platform swayed again, stronger this time. The creaking grew louder. And then Tom heard another sound. Small, sharp, metal beginning to give. You know when you just know? When your whole body knows something is wrong. Tom knew. "No," he whispered, "not like this." He gripped the side ropes with all his strength, as if that made any difference. The wind was howling now, and Tom, for the first time in 17 years, felt real fear. It wasn't fear of heights. It never was. It was fear of breaking. Alone, 200 meters above a city full of people. And no one would miss him. The thought came without him wanting it. Ryan won't even cry. And that truth hurt more than anything. I did this, he thought. I pulled away so much that when I'm gone, he'll barely feel it. Tears came. For the first time in years. It wasn't because of the danger. It was because of everything. Every message he didn't send. Every silence he let grow until it became an abyss for having built this empty life where no one would feel his absence. I don't want to go like this, he whispered to the wind. Please, I don't want it to be this way. He closed his eyes. He didn't even know who he was talking to. God? The universe? Anyone who might be listening. Give me one more chance, he whispered. Just one more. I'll do things differently, I promise. The wind kept blowing. The cable kept creaking. And Tom stayed there, holding the ropes, waiting. waiting for the cable to give, or waiting to be saved. He didn't know which would come first. And then, the smell of roses. Strong, impossible to ignore. Tom opened his eyes suddenly. What? He looked around. Icy December wind in Seattle, 25 floors above the ground. There were no roses. There was nothing. But the smell was there. Real, undeniable, as if someone had filled the platform with fresh roses. And then he felt it. Warmth. It wasn't the air was cold. It was in his chest, as if someone had placed a hand there, firm, warm, present. The tension in his shoulders vanished. The fear lessened. It didn't disappear, but it became smaller. "What is happening?" he whispered. He lifted his eyes, and she was there, standing beside him on the platform, white dress, blue mantle, hands joined in front of her chest. Exactly like the statue he had seen 3 weeks earlier, only real. Tom couldn't move. He couldn't speak. He could barely even breathe. She looked at him and smiled. It wasn't pity. It wasn't judgment. It was understanding, as if she knew. Everything, every mistake, every regret, every message never sent, every silence, every time he chose work over his son. And even so, she was there. Tom felt something break inside him. It wasn't pain. It was surrender, real surrender. "Help me," he whispered. He could barely speak. "Please." She kept looking at him, without speaking. But Tom felt it. Peace. A peace that made no sense. He was hanging 200 meters above the ground with a cable giving way. He should have been in panic, but the peace was there, real, impossible, present. The tears returned, but different now. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for being here." She tilted her head slightly, still smiling, and then she was no longer there. She didn't fade away. She didn't dissolve. She simply wasn't there anymore. But the smell of roses remained. The warmth in his chest remained. The peace remained. Tom stayed still, breathing, feeling. He doesn't know how much time passed. Seconds? Minutes? And then he thought, the hoist. He doesn't know why. He just thought it. He went to the control panel, looked at it. Still on. Green lights. He placed his hand on the button, took a deep breath. Please. He pressed it. The motor made a sound, not the click from before. A sound. Normal. And it began to rise, slowly, steadily. Tom looked up. The cable was no longer creaking. He looked at the panel. Working perfectly. What? 15 meters. 20. 30. The platform rose without any problem, as if it had never jammed, as if the cable had never creaked, as if nothing had happened, but it had happened. Tom knew it had happened. 3 minutes later, he reached the top. The rescue team was waiting, equipment ready, ropes prepared. Steve ran up to him. "Tom, how did you—" "Started working again," Tom said. "How do you mean it started working again?" "The winch." "It started working on its own." Steve looked at him, then at the winch. "That doesn't—" "I know." "Did you do anything?" "I just pressed the button again." Steve shook his head. "That doesn't make sense." Tom didn't answer. He just stood there, still sensing the smell of roses. One of the rescue technicians approached. "You okay? Want me to call a paramedic?" "No, I'm fine." "You're shaking." "Am I?" Tom looked at his own hands. They were shaking, but it wasn't from the cold. It wasn't fear. It was something he didn't know how to name. I'm going down," he said. In the locker room, he changed clothes in silence. Steve showed up. "Tom, are you sure it locked?" "I'm sure." Steve stayed quiet for a moment. Then, "Take the rest of the day off. You come back tomorrow." "Okay." Tom grabbed his things, went to the car, sat in the driver's seat, didn't start the engine, just stayed there. He could still feel it. The smell was gone, but the sensation remained. He picked up his phone. Looked at Ryan's last message, 3 weeks ago. Typed, "Hi, son. I know you don't want to spend Christmas with me, but I'd like to see you. Whenever you can, no pressure. Just, I miss you." He stared at the message, took a deep breath, pressed send, put the phone on the seat, started the car, drove home. That night, he didn't sleep. He lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. The winch that locked, the cable groaning, the desperation, the fear, and her. "It happened," he whispered to the empty room. "I know it happened." At 3 in the morning, the phone vibrated. Message from Ryan. "Hi, Dad? Sunday? Lunch?" Tom looked at the screen. The tears came. Typed, "Yes, anywhere you want." "Okay, I'll send you the address." Tom held the phone against his chest, and for the first time in years, he smiled. Tom didn't go to work the next day, nor the one after. For the first time in 17 years, he called saying he needed a few days. Steve didn't question it. After what happened, no one did. Tom spent the following days at home, thinking, replaying, trying to understand. The winch that started working on its own, as if it had never locked. He had heard the cable groaning, had seen the anchoring under pressure. That wasn't an electrical issue. And her. She was there. Or was she? Desperation, he thought. The mind playing tricks. But what about the smell? And the peace? And the winch starting again at that exact moment? Tom had no answers. He only knew that something had changed. On Saturday he drove to a church. He didn't even know which one, the first he saw. Parked outside, stared at the door. 20 minutes. Then he got out of the car, went in. The church was empty, silent. The smell of candles and old wood. Tom walked to the front, looked at the altar. There was an image there, the Virgin Mary. White dress and blue mantle. He stood there looking. He didn't pray. He didn't know how. It had been so long he didn't even remember the words. He just stayed there, standing, looking. "Thank you," he whispered. He stayed 5 more minutes. Then he left. But something had changed. He didn't know what. He just knew it had. On Sunday, Tom arrived 15 minutes early at the restaurant. Burgers and fries. Ryan chose. He waited at a table near the window, hands sweating, heart racing. When was the last time he'd been nervous to see his own son? Ryan arrived right on time, messy hair, hoodie, headphones around his neck. "Hi," he said. "Hi." They sat. An awkward silence. The waiter came, they placed the order, he left. Silence again. "So," Ryan began. "So." More silence. Tom took a deep breath. "I'm sorry." Ryan looked at him. "For what?" "For everything. For disappearing. For not being there." Ryan didn't answer right away. He looked at the table. "It's okay," he finally said. "It's not. I know it's not." Ryan looked at him again. There was something different in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. You seem different," Ryan said. "Do I?" "Yeah. I don't know. You're—" Tom smiled, kind of sad. "I'm trying." "Why? What changed?" Tom thought about how to answer. He thought about telling him, about that day, about the tow truck, about the fear, about what he saw, but he didn't tell him. "I realized I was losing you," he said, "and I don't want to lose you." Ryan fell silent. The food arrived. They ate slowly. The conversation started happening little by little. School, friends, the game Ryan had watched. It wasn't perfect. There were still pauses. There was still discomfort. But it was happening. At the end, as they were leaving, Ryan said, "Can we do this again?" Tom felt something tighten in his chest. Good this time. "Yes, every week if you want." "Maybe not every week, but yeah, once in a while." "Okay." Ryan left. Tom stayed in the parking lot watching him go, went back to the car, sat there for a long moment, and smiled, a strange smile, unfamiliar, but real. 5 months later, Tom and Ryan were sitting in a park, coffee and donuts. It had become a Tuesday, routine. At first, it had been awkward, stilted conversations, pauses that were too long, but it got better. Ryan started talking about the girlfriend he'd met. Tom learned to listen, not to try to fix everything, just to be there. "Do you think I can do it, Dad?" "Do what?" "Get into a good college. Be, I don't know, someone." Tom looked at his son. He really looked at him, that boy he almost lost. "I think you can achieve anything you want," Tom said. "You're stronger than you think," Ryan smiled, that shy smile. "Thank you." A comfortable silence, the kind of silence that only exists when people are truly at ease. "Dad?" "Yes?" "What happened? Really? You've changed so much." Tom stayed silent for a moment. He thought about telling him about that day, about her, but he didn't. Some things you keep just for yourself. "I almost lost you," he said, "and I realized it in time. I had a second chance." "I'm glad you did," Ryan said softly. "So am I." Ryan rested his head on Tom's shoulder, something he hadn't done since he was little. Tom stayed still, afraid to move, afraid to break the moment. He closed his eyes. "Thank you, Virgin Mary," he whispered, so softly that Ryan didn't hear it. But someone heard. He knew someone heard. At work, Tom returned to his routine, the same buildings, the same heights. But there was something new. Before going down, he would stop. Close his eyes for a moment. He didn't really know how to pray, but he tried. "Thank you for one more day. Thank you for the chance." Tom still cleans windows in Seattle. He still wakes up at 4 in the morning. He still climbs 200 meters high. He still works alone most days. But everything has changed. When he looks down now, he doesn't see just the city. He sees everything he almost lost. He sees Ryan growing up, building his life, being happy. He sees the messages on his phone that he now answers. He sees Tuesday lunches. He sees the life that almost slipped away. And when he looks up, well, now he knows. That day, December 6th, 200 meters high, when he thought he was completely alone, when fear was greater than everything, when he had nowhere else to go, he was never alone. He just needs to remember the smell of roses where there were no roses, the warmth in his chest where there had only been cold, the peace that made no sense, her standing beside him, white dress and blue mantle, smiling at him. And every day, before going down, Tom closes his eyes for a moment and whispers, "Thank you." No one hears, but he knows someone hears, and that is enough, because now he understands. Sometimes, in the darkest moments, in the highest places, in the deepest fears, you are not alone. You just need to ask for help, and accept that some things you can't explain. You can only be grateful and live differently. Tom does that now, every day, and for the first time in a very long time, he is truly alive. Before we finish, I want to invite you to be part of our prayer community for the Virgin Mary. A space of faith and hope where people from all over the world come together to pray and share the graces they have received. If you feel in your heart the desire to be part of this chain of prayer, click below and become a member of the channel today and come pray with us. And look, if you made it this far, all the way to the end of Tom's story, do one thing for me. Write roses in the comments, the impossible scent that changed everything. I want to see how many hearts this story truly reached, and every time I read roses in the comments, I'll know that one more person believes that miracles still happen. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Write in the comments about a miracle you have already witnessed or experienced, and share this video with someone who needs renewed hope today. May the Virgin Mary continue blessing and protecting you and your family. Amen.